we played niceties. Danielle knew you well, so me and Felicia were just kind of like, really nice guy. Now we're friends.
Yes,
so
we are.
being that
I
we're
love
friends
you all.
now, I think we should ask some questions and kind of shed more light on who you really are besides just this great guy who is a star, the star, I said on social media yesterday, of Queer Eye. But let's get right into it. I joked about in 2004, that's what I remembered you from initially was the real world. Back then, I was just a boy. I hadn't become a man yet. And I think when you're a boy, you learn a lot about life. And I think one of the interesting things to me watching that real world was you're looking at a guy and you just assume heterosexual, handsome guy. And then the storyline became that you were this gay man, not only this gay man, but the first out black gay man. And to me, it got rid of a lot of stereotypes for a guy who didn't know much as not a guy, a kid. You think gays they dress a certain way, they do this or they do that. Well, no, they're just like everybody else. And that really open my eyes to kind of an enlightening experience. What was that like for you?
It was like that Us Weekly thing where, celebrities are just like us. They grocery shop.
But it's crazy.
No,
like,
no,
that's...
You got it. I like someone who gets pop culture references.
I read People magazine. I know the
I
know the part in the magazine.
It was a very amazing experience for me because the amount of messages that I received from both people within the LGBT community who said, thank you for showing a different side. We're just like any community, we're diverse. We come in different shapes, sizes, the way we act, different degrees of masculinity, femininity. And so for me at that time to show a part of myself, and I'm really big on hip hop culture. I'm an activist as a black man. So to show those things all wrapped up and this little 22-year-old package, I'm just honored that people got to see it and were exposed, It was great.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool. What do you think just about where the gay community how far it's come and how far the LGBTQIA community has come just in the last 10, 15 years?
Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for the strides we've made. And I also always want to give applause to our straight allies, you all up here, because I think together as a community is when we support each other, is when strides are made. The reason that marriage equality was passed is because we all came together and said, hey, let's work together on this, for a greater good. But I'm really happy. Do I think there's more that needs to happen? Yes. Globally, there's still a lot of LGBT people who don't feel safe. Even here in Chicago, there's some LGBT, trans women of color don't feel safe. We talked to some later, which we'll get into. And I think, I'm just happy where we are.
So the first rendition of Queer Eye totally opened people's eyes. Now with this reboot, I think people were like, well, we're in a whole new world and everyone knows somebody that's LGBTQ. But you found through this filming that that's not necessarily true.
No, honey.
What was like the biggest learning experience for you doing this?
It was exactly what you just said, that, even though we feel as we've got so far, there's still pockets of our own country where people are not exposed to LGBTQI community. They have felt as if they've never met someone in our community, and I'm like, girl, yes, you have. But you might not have known, but yes, you have. But it just shows that we have to continue to push forward, whether it is with LGBTQ rights, whether it is discussing the issues that affect African Americans or Latinos or Asians in this country, immigrants in this country. We just have to continue to learn.
And that's what I want to talk to you about next is, since we're going through labels here. Being a black man.
Yes.
And one of the things that, is a negative connotation with black men is not fulfilling their roles as fathers in today's society and taking that which is the most important job we could ever have. A lot of people take it lightly or they're just non-existent. You found out that you had a child that had lived 10 years of his life and he kind of just stumbled upon your doorstep. And a lot of men in your position could have looked left.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about what that experience was for you when you were thrust into a role that you never really anticipated having?
Yeah, when I found out about my son through the stack of papers, I was scared.
10 years old, correct?
10 years old. Last girl I dated in high school didn't tell me about my son, and then it was like, hey, you're a dad.
It was literally your last
Walking home,
experience with a woman,
yeah,
and then it translated to this beautiful gift.
I believe in a higher power, and sometimes
Yes.
there's a divine path for all of our lives. But I was scared, I was terrified, and you're right. A lot of people would have a lot of people would have run away. And I wanted to. I'm not gonna pretend like, oh my gosh, there's some, amazing young man. I was like, I know what to do.
Yeah.
But luckily I had mentors in my life and family members who said, you need to step up and do the right thing. And it was scary and hard. And anybody who's going through something challenging, I encourage you to find a community that can support you and go straight into that fear. Because when you do, you end up with a beautiful family.
I think that's so real because I'm not a parent yet, but I don't think any parent really knows what they're doing.
No.
Especially when you're 10 years behind, like you
Figure
really
it
got
out.
thrown in.
Yeah, you figure it out, but you figure it out together, and that's how it works out.
You were thrown in with a whole person.
You've
Yes.
always been fearless, though, with your career, with your friends. That's a word I would use to describe
Thank you.
What's next for Karamo Brown? You're obviously a huge star. I know the wheels are always turning in there. So
Season 2 of Queer Eye.
Hey!
Where are you filming?
Very excited. They just released something online about Kansas City, Missouri, so watch out for that. And then you know what? Now that I'm going to be nearby, maybe I can come back to the jam and hang with you all.
Don't say maybe
Don't
unless
tease
you're
us
really
like
about
I'm
it.
just saying, it's up to you guys. I'm having fun with you all.
What do we think?
So
Let's huddle up. What do
Yeah.
we think? Are we in on this?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm in the family.
And just like that, it became the second best looking
You
guy
are-
on the set.
You always have a
always
seat
the
at this
first.
table. Always, always.
Thank you.